All right, guys, you read the title right. Yes, the M5 is for sale. I want to use this video as an opportunity to show off the car or go into detail about the car, a bunch of the modifications and improvements, all the maintenance items I will try to highlight in this video, and I'll also have it in the description. But before I get into that, I do want to address probably the popular question of why are you selling it? Why wouldn't you sell the M3 instead of the M5 and all these kind of things? And essentially what it comes down to is two things, one good and one bad. The good thing is I actually want a different spec. I know that sounds kind of weird because a lot of people really like the carbon black, but I would always kind of wanted a blue, like either Le Mans or Avis, or potentially if there's an Alpine white I could find in the future. I know there's only like 248 of them that really exist in the US, I think, but a different spec essentially is kind of the number one thing, because although carbon is beautiful, it's not my first pick. It does really clean up nice. It looks so good when it's clean. And the other part of why I'm selling it is if you guys didn't already know, I just got a house and I have a new little red daily driver, the E46 back there, and the M5 is fully paid off, and it's just a good opportunity to transition into something newer for the time being. So I will not be buying another E39 right away, but I will be buying one probably in the future. It's kind of weird to say that I would buy another one, yet I'm selling my current one, but that's really the only way to kind of move on in life as far as I see it. You know, I love the car and I've done so much with it and all the modifications, which you guys will see, all the improvements really more than anything. I did with the intention of keeping the car for a very long time, but I had it for about 2 years now, and it's actually been a really terrific car. Never let me stranded or anything. So I'm gonna use this video as an opportunity to kind of be pretty thorough, go through the car. If you are interested, shoot me an email right away. I'm emailing with a couple of guys at the moment. It's not officially sold. No one's fully given me a deposit or anything yet. You guys know if you sold a car, it's not done until it's done. So for those guys, they know that I'm posting this video and they're fine with it. So because that's just kind of how it goes. So all the details are in the description. Shoot me an email, brandon@shifted-perspective.com. Everything's in the description, including the maintenance and everything else. So if you guys have followed the channel, you probably know that this car has had a lot of things done to it. So let's go into it. I have a whole list of things that I do want to make sure I highlight, but let's kind of go around the outside, the engine, and then obviously the inside of the car. Okay, so let's just work front to back here. As you guys already probably know, regarding the paint and sort of the detailing, this received essentially a 3-step paint correction. Paint is very hard. It took a lot of hours. It was probably close to 30 hours at least, all in. Trim head restoration. I did a headlight restoration as well with 2K clear, and that has lasted over, you know, pretty much 2 years now, and they're 100% perfect. They look amazing. There's maybe like certain lights that if you have a stock bulb that hadn't been refinished next to that, the lens rather, you could maybe tell a difference. But all other than that, I mean, to pretty much anyone, even if they're an E39 guy, they're not gonna really be able to tell a difference. The front does have some rock chips, which I did one round of touching up. You know, this is kind of a bigger one that happened. It must have been a little more recently, but other than that, the front is good. It has some faint license plate holes, which must have been pre-drilled at the time. So when I cleaned it up, it actually cleaned up really nicely, and you can't really tell that there was a plate frame on there, which is really nice. OEM grills, as you can see, with new surrounds because the old ones were chipped up. So the issue kind of on the outside of the car is this down here. This is a little crack from the previous owner. One of the previous owners must have hit a parking bumper. It also destroyed the pork chop, which is this sort of plastic piece right here, which I replaced on both sides, the driver's side and the passenger side. So the pork chop fender liner thing has been replaced. There's a video on that as well. All right, so we have the factory wheels, the Style 65s. They are original, so they are not perfect, but the finish on them is actually okay. We're dealing with some curb rash on a few, on pretty much 2 or 3 of them. But here's the driver's side, new Tires, so these have probably less than 15,000 miles on them. They are the Michelin Pilot Sport AS3s, the all-season tires that come stock on the car, and they are also the factory size in the front and rear. So all new tires all around. New brake caliper in the front. So this one received a new brake caliper because the other one was I guess kind of frozen. And I also did new front pads and new front rotors. I went with ceramic pads. I have all the receipts and all that stuff for them, as you guys can probably imagine. Going along the side of the car and the other side, which we won't be able to fit easily because I parked it kind of close to the wall. All of the dents have been removed. This car had like 3 big dents and like probably 4 smaller ones, kind of, you know, one around the rear and then 2 or 3 on each side. And as you guys can see, even with the light, I mean, you'd be able to tell if there was a dent or something like that. So I got all of the dents removed maybe like 6 or 8 months ago. And there was like a dent over here as well. I'll try to show you this side, but I'll send you pictures or whatever if you want to send me an email. New badge. So when I did the paint correction, I did a new badge. This does have 138,000 miles. We'll go inside in just a second here. So it is, I wouldn't say a driver's car, but it's had enough miles where I don't really feel guilty driving it around. As you guys know, I drove this around as a daily for quite some time. It has, you know, just a little mark there. I don't even think that was from me, but there's a couple little things. Something that always bothered me was a scratch right there. You can see there's a scratch. I got scared. I didn't want to go too deep with the paint correction, so there's a faint scratch. It just depends what light you're looking at it. New window gaskets front, and also or that was the rear, this is the front, obviously. New windshield. So the car had a new windshield. It had the OEM windshield in there for the whole life of the car. I got a big stone chip right in the middle and it just immediately cracked like 6 inches. So that is really nice to have that. And I believe, you know, obviously tires over here. That's pretty much it. Oh, and you guys can probably tell there is tinting on the sides and the rear. It is a 20% ceramic tint, so it helps tremendously with heat. And obviously, I think it looks much better. And, you know, my taste is I like a little darker, but not so dark. So, you know, you can still see in. You can still see if there's like someone sitting in there and all that, which I think is really what the cops have a problem with. So let's see, I'm trying to think. I did a bunch of suspension work. Suspension is probably one of the next things on the list. It could use some shocks. I would say it's a little tired feeling. It drives really well. But once you start kind of throwing it around, not really throwing it, but once you start driving a little more aggressively, you can sort of feel maybe where the shocks could be improved, or maybe you could do some lower springs or something like that. I mean, it depends. If you're just driving on the weekend, it's fine. I mean, it's safe. There's no issues. Nothing's leaking. The shocks aren't leaking or anything like that. But I do want to go underneath the car. So you guys can hopefully see that. I have an Dine-In sway bar. Did the rear sway bar, and it is on the tighter setting recommended by Dine-In. A couple of reps at Dine-In. So that does tighten up the suspension a little bit. A little less body roll. It feels really good. So if you're used to the OEM cars, this will feel very similar. Rear end links as well. And I have the factory exhaust on there. These are the factory tips, which do need a little bit of detailing, but I did plan on doing like a muffler delete and stuff, but you know, I just kind of, you know, ran out of time. Let's go around, let's see. Everything works in this car, by the way, guys. I mean, there isn't anything wrong. I mean, it's ready to go. It's had like kind of a rejuvenation. So it has the M audio, it has split folds. It has this net, which is, I don't know, it's just one of those things. It is really nice to have. So, and then it has like the little luggage thing underneath. You can put some stuff, I think. Let's see. I'll show it to you just as a little tour. Battery is fine. Oh, there's some tools. There's a flat repair kit. I can take that out. I've never needed to use it. There are no patches on these tires. They're in really good shape. Little DVD toolkit. I'll open this for you. It's not the full toolkit because it's the US version, so I think there's like 1 or 2 things that are not in there. I think the Euro version has something here in this big slot, but that's what's in there. I could be wrong. If there's something missing, then there's something missing. I haven't messed with it, so that's that. In good shape, no weird stains, no dead bodies, nothing weird. Everything works good, electronics work good. All right, inside we have the barrel wood, I think is what it's called. I forget the actual name of it. So this is the wood, which is in good shape. The seat is in excellent shape. I did a leather treatment on the full interior of this car. Obviously there's a video on that if you want to check it out. No rips, no stains, nothing weird, like totally normal wear on these seats. I can send you close-up pictures as close as you want, but there's no rips, especially for 138,000 miles. I mean, I'm not the biggest guy, but you know, previous guys before me were probably potentially bigger that could have worn down the seat. There's a tiny bit, you know, just on this edge here, but no rips. I mean, that's really the biggest thing. That was a huge thing that sold me on the car, is the seats actually almost look new. New door sills, new floor mats. Steering wheel's been rejuvenated as well. That is the factory steering wheel that came with this car. And we'll show you the mileage. 138,569. So all the pixels work. I don't actually have the key on me. Garage is closed, so I won't do a cold start in this video, but I will send you whatever footage you want. All the pixels worked. You guys know I sent that out to Fixels. A guy named Paul did the full pixel replacement, and the stock gauge illumination is the same. So some people like to do white. I kept everything stock, so they all work 100% perfectly, just as it did when the car was new. It is an 03 if I didn't mention. So we have the 16:9 display, which I actually need to replace this. That was one of the things. I was talking to one of the guys. There's a few like pixels missing. So I have a new screen. I just haven't done it yet. It works fine. You can see stuff. It's just, you know, could use a few of the pixels need to be done. So you guys can see the F10 M5 shift knob. This is obviously not the one that came in this car. It's one of the few changes I've done. And I also did an E60 5 Series short shift kit. So the actual shifter is a different shifter, but also the shift kit has been replaced. So I did that when I had the clutch, flywheel, rear main seal, and all that stuff done. I had them do the short shift kit as well. And then this is the boot that comes with this shifter. So I had it fitted to this. It fits perfect. Handbrake holds, although it is a little weak, so it probably could use tightening up. You know, if you have it in gear when it's parked, no problem. But with these old cars, you probably have this in gear anyways, unless you're like in a flat garage like I am right now. So that's good. Passenger seat, pretty much no wear. I mean, it's just perfect. I have the extended leather package, which is really nice because you get this little extra leather. The dash is just the normal vinyl, nothing crazy there. The previous owner had actually replaced this mirror, so this was done. I know sometimes they get kind of an issue. And we got the headliner, which I'm not sure the camera's gonna adjust for it, but the headliner is in good shape. I'm sorry, this isn't a great example, but there's no fraying or any sort of issues along the headliner. I've not touched it. My theory is just to leave it alone if it's in good shape. So that's that. We have a rear sunshade, which is up. You guys know I love the rear sunshade. Split folds are in good shape. I got some microfibers back there, and everything here is in good shape. The back just looks kind of standard. It has the sunshades as well, and everything works. It's really nice. There's no rattles in this car, believe it or not, given the age and everything. So everything is in good shape. All right, let's look at the engine bay. Okay, so here's the engine bay, guys. As I mentioned, I'm not going to do a cold start or anything like that, but I'm more than happy to film a specific video and send it to you. via email or however you want it. I can do it Google Docs, whatever you want. We can do it that way. So I want to give you kind of a rundown. I did cabin air filters, engine air filter, fluids, spark plugs, coils, which I have video on that as well. Oil has been changed every 5,000 miles. I use 10W60 liquid moly, which, to be honest with you guys, it really eats almost no oil. I've gone at least a few oil changes without having to add any, and only a couple, just adding just a tiny bit. So being an 03, I don't know what it is, but the engine runs so smooth. And it's just such a happy car. So that is really nice about this car, is there's never really a worry about it, drinking too much oil or anything like that. So that's really nice. I haven't done the cooling system. I know a lot of guys, place the hoses, but I will say when we were working on this car, the cooling system appears to have a lot of work done to it prior to my ownership. So a lot of the connections and hoses and things like that, which I don't know, you can see a few of them here, look to be kind of fresh. I'm not going to confirm that for sure, but that's just kind of my visual inspection. If you guys want to come out and visually inspect it yourself, you're fine to do that. But it's very clean, newer, nothing's busted or broken or cracking that I can see. So that is a huge plus on kind of that as well. I didn't have to monkey around with the cooling system. Oh, I almost forgot to mention the windshield wipers. I actually replaced the windshield wiper motor. I did not do a video on that, but I have pictures and kind of information. The wiper motor just failed. It's somewhat normal for these cars, so I did that as well. So that was kind of nice to get that done. And I should also mention, I almost forgot, did both of the rear door vapor barriers. So what happens is the barrier between the outside and the inside is this sort of plastic foam thing that stops sticking to the door. So essentially that's what keeps a lot of the water out. I did it both of the rear, and I also did the driver's side window regulator. So that was nice to have done. And I should also mention, before I forget, I'm a little out of order here, the seat twists have been fixed on both of these seats, which, trust me, if you guys have done a sweet seat twist fix, that is not fun. So the seat twists have been fixed on both of the front seats. That just was horrible. So whoever buys this car, it's pretty well sorted, especially the painful things like the pixels, the seats, those things that may be smaller things, but they really get annoying quick. So that was fixed as well. Oh, door sounds so good to close. I'm gonna miss that. There'll be another one on the channel, guys. Don't worry. So that's it. Fluids are good. Oil. I just did a oil change, literally like 100 miles ago. So fresh oil, 10W60. Car is running really good. Okay, guys. So that is going to do it for the walkthrough of the car. I'm sure I missed a couple of things, so I actually have a long list that I'm going to literally just rattle off. I will also have it in the description of things. A lot of you guys who follow the channel probably already know that I did certain things, but I've done a lot. Like, I wouldn't say I'm embarrassed at like how much time and money I've spent maintaining this car, but been driving it a lot, and I want it to be in proper shape. So now that I got it in proper shape, of course you'd sell it. I mean, doesn't everyone want to do that? There will be another one on the channel, but in the meantime, let me rattle off my long list of things. This should be almost everything. If we start trading emails, I'll be sure to be as specific as possible, but this is a little bit more general. So without further ado, 4 Michelin all-season tires with road force balance, fluids flushed, gauge pixels repaired, 20% tint, front and rear windshield gaskets, OEM windshield wipers, trunk struts, floor mats, brake pads in the front rotors, driver's caliper, I mentioned that, brake pad sensors, headlight restoration M badge on the engine and also on the rear, dent remover, door sills, windshield wipers, windshield wiper regulator, vapor barriers, front end links, rear end links, and also front thrust arms. I don't think there's rear thrust arms, but the thrust arms sucked. That took like 7 hours to get those done. So the suspension is actually pretty dialed. Besides, like, the shocks could potentially need to be replaced. filters, spark plugs, ignition. It's had alignment when I did the tires and also the thrust arms and the sway bar in the rear. So I did all that stuff and then I got an alignment. So that is good. Drives dead straight for miles. Rear main seal was done with the clutch and flywheel, which are OEM parts. Input shaft seal as well, so that was leaking just a little bit. The sides for the rear drive shaft seemed to be fine. I did pork chops. Oh, I also have a BPM Sport tune. So Mike from BPM tuned this car extremely conservatively, but I have it tuned for 93 octane, and it's just slightly more horsepower, and it also has the pedal feel, and the steering feel is a little bit different as well. Because I know with sport mode it's like overly touchy, and then in normal mode it's like too dull. So I kind of got that turned up just a little bit. We did the shifter, we did the short shift kit, paint correction. You guys have seen tons of detailing on this thing. 93 octane. I always put in 93 Shell or whatever is good quality gas. And really the only thing, 138,000 miles, and I have the Carfax I ran when I bought the car. So you guys want me to send that over? I already paid for it, so I'll just send it over your way. Yeah, so the biggest issue that I can think of is this crack in the bumper. I never got to it because you don't really see it. Like when you're standing looking at the car, you can't really see it. And it's not really mechanical, so I figured I'd focus a little more on like engine suspension related, or maybe like the vapor barrier. Obviously, if you don't fix preventing water from getting in the cabin, you could have much bigger issues in the long run. So I think that's it. There isn't anything wrong with it, which is really nice to sell. So I can easily sell this, like I can sleep at night really easily knowing that there isn't anything wrong. I haven't done any Vanos or anything like that. It sounds pretty happy. It doesn't seem to have any weird rattles other than the normal kind of idle on the S62 engine. So it seems to be, it runs really nice. It's nice to just take it on the weekend and just rip it. So yeah, anyways, that's gonna do it, guys. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the knowledge and information. I've never really joined, but you pretty much are almost forced to join the group of E39 guys, because they just embrace you. Like, you have one and you mention you want to do something, and everyone comes from every part of the world and goes, you should do this, you should do this, here's the info for this. And everyone's so amazing. So the community is probably one of the best things about this car, besides the car itself. It comes along, in two parts, really. So it's bittersweet for me. I love it. It's fun to make content. It's fun to drive. But when push comes to shove, priorities, and you have to look towards the future. So I still have the M3. I'm not planning on selling it anytime soon. It's my perfect weekend car for the price. You guys know I like kind of the older V8 manual cars, and it's gonna suck to get rid of this car, don't get me wrong, but you just sort of accept that over enough time you just realize what step you have to take next. And for me, it sort of seems like if I want to get a different one in the future, and I want to get maybe a newer kind of daily driver or something like that, and it's just one of those things, like something's got to give. We got 4 cars in this garage, so it's just one of those things that you just have to, I think you guys can understand, like when you realize that you have to make a certain move, whether it's moving a house or a car or just in life, it's just one of those things where there's going to be sacrifices. But if you guys are sort of proactive like me, you'll understand that it'll be worth it in the long run. So with that said, the E39 M5 is officially for sale. I have the title in hand. I have all the records, all that info, and you guys have a ton of that info as well. So on the channel, there's tons of maintenance stuff done that we did to this car. So it's in good shape and it's ready to drive. There's no issues. You could drive this to Cars and Coffee every weekend if you wanted, or drive it every day if you wanted. So shoot me an email and we will go from there. I'll keep you guys updated with the sale. Right now there's nothing pending, so shoot me an email and I will talk to you guys soon.